Wrestling comics, oh, wrestling comics. I am a huge fan of wrestling comics. I'm a huge fan of wrestling and comic books, so why in the world would I not be a huge fan of wrestling comics? And it just so happens I'm a huge fan of Daniel Warren Johnson, who is an absolutely amazing artist in comics. I just kind of wanted to take a look at just the first three issues of Do a Powerbomb, which, in my opinion, is one of the probably the best modern comic I've read in quite some time. So let's take a look at this. Just gonna bring up two. All right, here we go. So I'm not gonna go over the story. We're just going over the art here because you guys should pick this up because it's easily available. And I know the trade paperback just came out recently, so you should definitely, if you get a chance, buy this comic. The great thing about this book for Daniel Warren Johnson is I'm sure he probably watched a ton of wrestling to make this comic, which is actually not a bad thing to have to watch while you're trying to figure out how you want to tell your story in wrestling, is by watching wrestling, which is pretty cool. Very dynamic. That's one of the reasons why I love wrestling comics, is because it's such a dynamic. I mean, look at that. You have to be able to draw very dynamic figures. Let's just kind of move this light out of the way so we can. And you have to learn how to draw a lot of stadiums. Man, I love that off the rope there. And the height he gets, man, he must be like Michael Jordan. Man. Just kind of going through this and taking a look. Speechless, if you will. Very dynamic stuff. I love the striations and the muscles there. The movement. There's such impact when the characters fall or get slammed. Man, look at that. What a great page. Some fan art. Very cool. Alright, let's take a look at this. Issue 2. Great cover. I think there's two covers for each, which is fine by me, you know. Variant covers are fine if you do like two of them. That's cool. If you do like 20 of them, it's a little weird. Anyways. So we got some plot going on here, you know. Very cool, but we want to see the wrestling, right? Man, look at the force in that punch. And the movement. Look at the movement of the skin when he slaps him. How he must have like paused he must have been watching wrestling or something and like paused like a still frame of a wrestler getting slapped or something like that, or just had a picture reference for a picture reference, because that seems very difficult to draw, all the wrinkles of the body getting slapped. I love how he just draws like a comedically high jump out of the ring. Very cool. All the scars on his back. Those ECW days or Abdullah the Butcher days. I love the way he draws like a city. It's very cool. It's very simple too, but it's really cool. I'm probably ruining, plot here, but you really should go out and get it yourself. Some more fan art. I think that's very cool that Daniel Warren Johnson put some fan art in it. Very cool stuff. All right, we're gonna take a look at issue 3. I know it's not the most interesting video in the world, but I'm just kind of taking a look at this because I love wrestling comics. I think they're very cool. But there's a lot of story in this, unlike the other wrestling comics I went through, where it was just mainly like in the ring stuff. There's a lot of story going on here. Very cool. If you've ever watched Daniel Warren Johnson draw, it's like magic. He has a channel, and it's so cool to watch him figure out perspective, because perspective is so difficult, and he's a master at perspective. And he'll put the lines down, and then like he'll second guess, and then he'll make something like 50 times more like interesting in like 30 seconds after he's like, I don't like this, and then he'll do something even more interesting. His perspective is amazing. Like his ability, I mean, his figure drawing is amazing. Everything that he does, storytelling is great. One of the best, probably the best artist in comics right now from a storytelling standpoint and a perspective standpoint, and I would even say a drawing standpoint. You know, because it's so stylized. It's like his own thing. It's not, you don't look at it and you go, oh, that's just a guy trying to rip off John Byrne, or oh, that's a guy trying to rip off Frank Miller. It's very like unique in its own way, and I feel like an artist who can find their style is so difficult to find. So very cool. I guess our dude is fighting a gorilla here. Okay. Love that punch, and love the body just falling down, just like stiff as a board. Very cool. See, that's the times you don't need to be dynamic, because you're trying to express like, this guy got knocked the fuck out. He's out. I love the way he draws arms. Just I like, I don't know, arms, like anybody can draw great arms, legs, any part of the body, or the entire part of the body is very cool. But yeah, I love that flip in the air. It feels so big, and it feels so dynamic, and it just feels like you're like a viewer in, you know, like you're in the fifth row or something. Very, just amazing artist. And the thing is like, the thing that I like about this book is it doesn't take itself too seriously. There are serious elements to it, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. All those huge forearms for this character here. Man, look at that. Just doing the code breaker there. And then we got some fan art here too. And there we go. Oh, I didn't even see these things on the back here. There's a piece on every one of them on the back, which is very cool. Cool little extra to have. But yeah, they are all cover A's, so that's good to know. And they're all done by Daniel Warren Johnson. But yeah, what a just an amazing comic. I have more issues of it, but I kind of, maybe I'll just do a part 2 of it. But I love wrestling comics, and I don't think you can find a better wrestling comic than this. Wrestling comics are surprisingly very difficult to find in the States. I feel like it's much easier to find in places like Japan. And when you get a great wrestling comic, you really like cherish it, and you love it, especially when you have a great artist on it too, like Daniel Warren Johnson, who, I'm serious, like, check that guy's YouTube channel out. Master of drawing, master of anatomy, master of perspective. Just one of the best artists in comics right now, I would absolutely say. So, yeah, check it out. Do a powerbomb. Thanks, guys.